where do you see the real estate market going because of this pandemic? Uh, will you see it slow down? Kasi naturally, walang pambili na yung mga tao. How will it go?
Yes, definitely. I see that the real estate market will be slowing down because we've already entered into a recession. And just like a regular person, real estate developers will also be holding on to their cash reserves. So unlike before, like prior to COVID-19, we're seeing a lot of developments popping up, right? But now with the pandemic going on, yung nangyayari, yung mga real estate developers, they also want to hold on to their cash reserves and they want to lessen their exposure to liabilities. So instead of maybe they had initially planned to develop a lot of projects at the same time, maybe they want to go to the conservative route and they will probably just develop like maybe one or two projects.
Hey guys, so in this video, let's talk about real estate again because I know you guys sent a lot of questions about real estate. Is there a bubble? Is there a crash coming? And we have in this video someone who's been in the real estate market, real estate industry for more than 9 years already. She also developed her own tech uh, app that's highly connected to the real estate industry. Without much ado, we have Stefanie Uy in the vlog. Hello, Stefanie from CDO, by the way. Isa sa sobrang yaman sa CDO. Let's do this. Hello.
Hindi. Hi, Sir Mars. Thank you so much for having me on your vlog today. Magdilang anghel ka sana dun sa mayaman. I'm not mayaman.
Dami nagsasabi ng ganyan. Pero before we begin, how's everything in CDO? Is it, are everyone inside? Are people going out? How's the infection rate going on there? Kasi ako, di ako lumalabas ng bahay, so I don't know what's happening in general as well.
So here in CDO, hindi naman kami naka-lockdown. But of course, people are observing community quarantine. People are to stay at home as much as possible because we want to help, of course, our frontliners and to, flatten the curve. Pero yun kasi CDO, andito yung hospital for Northern Mindanao, the COVID hospital. So yun ang reason why we don't have the lockdown here yet.
Okay. Now, let's go. I'm glad everything's okay there, no? Dito kasi hindi mo na alam kung ano yung minsan totoo tsaka hindi totoo. So much, So sana mga educational YouTube content na lang pinapanood nila, di ba? That they watch stuff like this and subscribe. Anyways, let's get into the thick of the action. Where do you see the real estate market going because of this pandemic? Will you see it slow down? Kasi naturally, walang pambili na yung mga tao. How will it go?
Yes, definitely. I see that the real estate market will be slowing down because we've already entered into a recession. And just like a regular person, real estate developers will also be holding on to their cash reserves. So unlike before, like prior to COVID-19, we're seeing a lot of developments popping up, right? But now with the pandemic going on, yung nangyayari, yung mga real estate developers, they also want to hold on to their cash reserves and they want to lessen their exposure to liabilities. So instead of maybe they had initially planned to develop a lot of projects at the same time, maybe they want to go to the conservative route and they will probably just develop like maybe one or two projects, instead of doing all simultaneously. And of course, yung mga buyers are also being more cautious with how they are investing now. So a lot of people may want to hold on to their cash yet. So for now, so definitely there is a slowdown in the real estate market that's expected.
I have some questions off of that. Number one, will it be a concern for people who bought pre-selling? You said that real estate developers will be holding on to their cash. Is there a concern that the projects may not actually finish? Because we've seen this in the 1997 crash where people who bought pre-selling, the developers were cash strapped and yun, madaming projects hindi natapos. Should that be a concern for 2020 or that's far from happening?
For 2020, I don't think so just yet. But what we can maybe prepare ourselves for is yung turnover date might be delayed. So it's more on the delay of turnover instead of like the whole project not continuing. Probably just a delay for me.
Okay. So at least no. So for people watching this, it's very very important also siguro that they talk to the developer to know what's happening as well. But so worst case scenario, it's April 2020 now. You're saying that the biggest possibility is madi-delay lang siya. I have a question there. Pag na-delay yun, does it mean they have to put on their monthly payments still, or that also freezes? How does that normally go also?
What normally happens is that upon reservation, the clients will already give their post-dated checks. So right now, the developers are already holding on to their post-dated checks, and most likely these developers will continue to deposit those checks every month. So I don't think the payments will be freezed. I haven't seen developers announcing such kind of activity wherein they will allow a payment holiday. I haven't seen that yet. So most likely the payments will continue.
Okay, so we talked about the real estate market. With for those who bought pre-selling, baka ma-delay. We've also talked about that. Some of the developers naman, instead of growing massively, they will just be conservative also, so that the demand is enough, the supply is enough for the demand. Also, as you said, there's lessening demand. For those naman who bought and own something that's already tapos na, it's built already. What should they do? Do you expect prices of, let's segment it, number one, raw land, number two, lots in subdivisions, number three, condos, to stay the same, appreciate, or go down in price? So raw land, lots in subdivisions, and condominiums, stay the same, go down, or appreciate during this time?
I think in general, the prices will probably stay the same for now. So it will depend, of course, how long we will stay in this pandemic, how long this will continue. If as long as people will be able to keep their jobs and they'll be able to continue making their amortization payments, then I think it's safe to say that the prices will still remain the same. It won't go down just yet. I think in general, even before COVID-19 happened, on the ground as a real estate broker, I still see that there's a healthy uptake of units. So it's still a seller's market for us here in CDO prior to COVID-19. So because buyers are also screened well by banks, so they have a good credit, they're also qualified by the banks. So as long as they're able to make their payments and there's not a lot of foreclosures that will happen, then hopefully prices will still remain the same. But most likely it won't appreciate just yet.
Do you think that's possible, that there might be people who may not be able to pay their loans, or that's very, very far still from happening as of what you're seeing in April 2020?
I think there is a possibility which is linked highly to the jobs that people are having. Because as long as people are able to retain their jobs, they will be able to pay for their investments. But of course, there's also that factor with how people react to the pandemic, with how people will react to the recession. If they have, let's say, just an extra investment that they feel they can let go of, then they might let go of that, because people may want to liquidate right now and they want to hold on to cash. So there's a possibility that that will happen. Pero at the same time then, if some people decide to liquidate, you can also see good deals in the market. So that's also the upside on that.
Speaking of good deals, no, would you suggest people already to hunt for people who are selling at lower prices? And if meron man, and you suggest that they start buying now, where's the best way for them to find good deals happening right now? Kasi for sure, there might be, again, it's not going to be everyone selling on a massive level, pero meron siguro dyan isang may-ari ng restaurant na kailangan niya ng cash ngayon kasi sarado yung restaurant nila. He need the cash that they may sell. So where do they find deals like that also? Para naman they can be like you, sobrang yaman sa real estate, diba? So they can follow what you're doing.
Ikaw talaga, Sir Marvin. Anyway, siguro talk to your broker. If you have a broker that you are connected with, the brokers usually know the market more. Simply because, well, that's our job. That's what we do, right? So we have a lot of groups. We have a lot of clients who are already acquainted with us. So if these clients have the intention to sell their properties or sell their businesses, they are most likely to tell their brokers first. So it's good to be in touch with a broker network so you can get idea of good deals.
I segmented this earlier, but I want to go back to this. Raw land, subdivision, condos. In terms of good deals, what would be an easier, I guess, asset to find good deals right now? Feeling ko condos, no, kasi mas maliit, smaller amounts, easier to sell, or I don't know, you know it more than me.
Probably both in the condo or house and lot na market. Maybe not muna sa raw lands. Hindi pa siguro. Condo, simply because there's a lot of that in the market.
Okay.
Being a broker here in the provincial area, there's also more house and lot here as well. So parang it's the same for me. But maybe in the metro it would be condominiums.
Okay. Now, looking at what's happening, you went into the market kung 9 years, 2011, it was after the 2008 crash already. After all of this was happening, I would assume this is the first crash you've experienced also, since you were not in the market yet in 2008. What was going through your head as a real estate practitioner when things were going down? Kasi iba yung mentality ng stock market person sa real estate person. Sometimes the real estate person can smile lang, sige, stock market, bumababa ka kami, relax lang kami dito. So the reason why I'm asking that, I want to know what was going through your head and what piece of advice can you give people who are sitting on tons of real estate property right now?
I guess you're right, no? Unlike people in stock market, no, parang, it's such a big activity going on right away as soon as the COVID-19 started to be widespread here in the Philippines. But in real estate, it's more of we're still a little bit stable. We're still quite stable right now. So at the time, it was more of what was going through my head is, I don't think I'll be closing new deals in the next couple of months. Not as much as before. So it's more of this will be a good time for me to just reach out to my clients, to talk to them, to reconnect with them, just to make sure that you're still top of mind. And at the same time, to hunt for good deals. Now is the time to look for good deals. So as a broker, that's what I should do for my clients. When I find those good deals, I will tell them right away. So what was the other question? Sorry.
What do you advise people right now who have a lot of property? Let's see, I'll add more scenarios into it. No, it might be that because madami silang property, vacant siya ngayon. Especially, I'll tell you this. I'm 100% sure majority of the Airbnbs right now are vacant. Not 100%, but probably 90% of the Airbnbs right now are vacant. What's your advice to people who went into the Airbnb type of format? Kasi madami people, buy this condo so you can have this as Airbnb. What could be their pivot? What could they do?
Yes, definitely. That's a good point that you brought up because a lot of people got into condo investing because of Airbnb so they can do a daily rate, right? So what they can do, what I would advise them to do is to start looking for long-term rentals, long-term renters. So in that sense, you are able to pay off your amortization. If you can just give it at a rate of how much your amortization is to the bank. You don't need to, like, if you just to survive, you don't have to add on some more just to make profit. As long as you're able to pay off your amortization to the banks, just look for the long-term tenants. And I know that the income for daily rate is much higher, but it's okay. Everyone's on survival mode right now.
Okay, very, very good advice. But is it also challenging to get long-term rentals right now? Or if you make the prices so low, may kakagat at kakagat pa rin dyan? Or would you suggest, I don't know if this is happening, no? Would you suggest that some of the units, you find a way na it can connect to I don't know, frontliners that they can stay there. I don't know kung may bayad yun or ano yun, or I don't know what's the pivot also for other people.
Yeah, I've seen some people do that. I've seen some people offer their condo units to frontliners, especially those units who are near hospitals. So that is a possibility. That's a good thing to think about also.
Pero that being said, is it harder, or is it harder to get
Ah,
rentals right now, or not? No, no naman. It's the demand is still there.
yes, I would say it's probably harder now. Probably harder because people are mostly staying at home. And I think the reason why people rent in certain areas is to be near their workplaces. But if their workplaces are also just tasking them to work from home, then of course there's a lesser market for that. And at the same time, travelers who have like business trips to certain areas, and those are the usual clients that you would get, their travels are suddenly restricted. So definitely it's harder to find tenants right now, but I wouldn't say it's impossible because we still have rental deals that are closing. So that's a good thing. So it's not impossible. You just have to put the effort to look for it, for the tenant.
You opened a very, very good topic, no? In this era, how do you suggest that they can make their units attractive pa rin, that they can still get rent? What I'm asking siguro is tips for people who have units na kesa mabakante yung unit nila, what can they do to still get tenants? Yun. You're smiling, feeling ko na-excite ka sa topic na to.
Hindi naman, because there's always the usual things in play. One is if you offer it at a lower price, the lower the price is, the easier that you can rent it out. Number two, of course, you make sure that you have certain basic necessities to the place. If you can add some more appliances just to make it more attractive, then go ahead, diba? Of course, right now it would be hard to renovate a unit just to make it look more beautiful. But I think there are more DIY ways. We can always be more creative in how we can make our space more attractive. And siguro, also, if you can offer some form of payment terms just to make sure that your client is able to pay you off. Kahit yung hindi ka masyadong strict, it's not the time to be strict.
Galing. Galing. I have another question. Dami kong follow-up question kasi your answers are very good. No? Number one, how low of a percentage should you give it below the market price para makuha na hindi naman dehadong-dehado ka? Second question on top of that is, if I'm gonna give a lower rate, should the contract be shorter also so that when things recover, I can bring back my price? And if there's a contract for it, how many months would you think is appropriate?
Yung sa regarding sa term, I would say that you can be as flexible as possible. If you can get a longer term, then go for it, because we don't know how long this pandemic will last. So let's just try to be more conservative in our approach. If you have a client who says, I'm willing to lease for a year, even if it's at a lower rate, then go ahead and do it. And of course, your first question was, at how low should I price it to be? Probably not lower than the amortization that you're paying to the bank, just so you can cover your amortization.
Okay. Just to give you context also, there are a lot of people from Manila watching this. And some condos in Manila, the amortization is still higher than the rent. May mga ganun eh. They want a really high price also. So at the end of the day, it will be how close am I to my amortization or how far I am for it. But I guess they will be paying they will be paying more also. I guess there are some people that when they saw it, they thought maganda location, and then hindi siya mababakante, and then the rent will somehow increase 2-3 years from now, but they already knew it that if I buy it now at current prices, my yield won't be it won't be able to cover for my amortization. So what, no percentage, or how does it go? Parang is it for example, the rental is 20,000. Can you do it ng 14,000 pesos to at least attract a market? You're dropping it 30% lower already.
It really depends on the unit owner. But since, again, we're on survival mode, it's better to have a tenant rather than to not have a tenant at all.
Okay. Better have, and we've said this in several videos, no? At this point in time, liquidity is more important than profitability. It's important na meron at least cash na pumapasok kesa wala. And that cash will help subsidize whatever things that you need to pay for, also for, I don't know, for your condo or for the amortization that's there. And sayang, if it's not really earning for you, it becomes a dead asset. Of course, it has a chance to appreciate later, pero it's dead pa rin. Yun. We talked a lot about real estate, but do you think there's any concern that people would need to at least factor in given all of this that's happening? And then meron pa pala ako isang question. For those naman na talagang wala na nagre-rent eh, and this is not a real estate question, this is more of a discarte question already. What do you suggest that they should do with it in order for them to stay afloat? Benta na lang nila at a lower price para at least they recoup something, or they can find something in order for them to still pay the amortization?
Okay, so that does depend on the situation that the person is in already. So if the person is medyo cash strapped already and you really need to have cash, then of course the last resort would be ibenta na. Because the reason why I would say it's the last resort, because right now not a lot of clients are also buying. So most likely it will get sold if they sell it below market value. So that means they might sell it at a loss depending on when they bought it, of course. So it depends on the situation of the person. But if you can still find ways to be creative, if you can still find ways to somehow make your payments, it's really situational, because of course kung investment lang yan and your primary concern is more of your food and shelter, then it's likely that you will let go of the investment. But if you can be creative and find ways to pay for your investment, then it's probably a good thing to just keep it going. I know, let's just make the best of what we can do at this time.
Galing. I'll make it more interesting. If it was you're in that situation, what would you do? Pero syempre guys, she will never be in that situation kasi sobrang naman niya. Pero if it was you, what would you do?
Sir Mars, reminder lang, startup founder po ako, buhay startup, ramen budget kami.
Ramen na 400 pesos ang ramen. Okay, go. What would you do if it was you in that situation?
Wait, anong scenario na ba to? Nagugutom na ba ako? Wala na ba talaga akong perang kumain?
You're concerned lang na if I don't have enough to pay for it, makukuha siya ng bangko. But you can put meron ka namang, your needs are still met naman. It's just a concern lang na if I cannot pay this, di mawawala siya sa akin. So what would you do? What would you do if it was you in that position?
If you are nearing foreclosure, if you really see that the foreclosure is going to happen, if wala ka na talagang magawa, then yes, you might have to sell it, because it's better that you got some income out of it rather than lose it entirely.
I have another question. Baka people don't know this also. How many months of not paying before it gets foreclosed also, before they take it away from you?
Usually it's 3 months. But because we're in an interesting situation right now, I think it might be possible to really talk to your bank first. Like, talk to the bank. Try to make arrangements. Baka they can help you with your payments. Maybe they can do something, give you a better scheme. Like, they know that the banks will lose out also if they foreclose your unit. That's not their primary business. They would want you to keep it. They would want you to keep paying. So it would be beneficial if you talk to your bank and find ways. Find ways muna. Like, don't give up right away.
Okay. I mean, see, that's why isa sa pinakamayaman guys sa studio kasi daming alam ng mga techniques na ganyan.
Oh my gosh. Hindi talaga yung totoo, Sir Marbs. Ano ka ba?
So you think banks will be more lenient? I mean, what should be their approach? What should be their technique when they would approach the bank? How do they say na talaga things are not so good, I may not have enough cash for it? And pero magandang sinabi mo na 3 months pa, so that means if they don't pay April, they don't pay May, then they pay everything June. Okay, everything settled, wala silang problem.
Yeah, oo. Okay pa yan.
Okay.
And if by talking to the banks, just be honest. Just be honest about your situation. I'm sure they will understand.
Hmm. Should they talk to the manager straight or paano yung they should have a formal letter na talagang na wala talaga or papasok sila doon butas-butas na yung damit nila para at least mas may effect.
Hindi naman. Honesty actually just works well, I think. It would be best to talk to someone in authority, someone who can make that decision right away. So most likely it will be the manager. Or if there's someone you know from the bank who can vouch for you, who can vouch for you as a person.
Okay.
And of course, kung mahirap, maybe you can, as Filipinos, as we are, our families help each other out. So in that case, meron din yan.
Okay, last two questions. Number one, should you put your emergency fund pang salo sa loan mo for your house?
I would probably say no. Because the emergency fund is for your daily living expenses. It's for your personal burn rate. Probably not. I think it would be better if you don't do that.
Okay, that's for people na they bought the condos as an investment. Paano naman yung bahay or condo tinitirahan nila? What's
yeah, of course.
what's your suggestion?
So mawawalan ka ng bahay.
So should they
so it's okay.
Should they use the emergency?
Because that's your shelter na. Because that's already your shelter.
Okay. Got it. Final words for people na may real estate ngayon na kinakabahan, natatakot, di nila alam yung mangyayari sa kanila.
I think for me, I know a lot of people may not subscribe to this, but for me, it's really to put your trust in the Lord. So this is not financial advice, but it provides a lot of peace in your mind to, really renew relationship with God. And of course, more practical tips is fill your mind with positive things, and by that is to watch videos like this, diba? Mag-subscribe ka, Sir Marvin, so you can subscribe, so you can uplift yourself with knowledge. And one thing I've learned before is that sometimes when you feel like you're already in a dead end, sometimes when you feel like you're already in a rut, you just need to take some time to look at your resources. And by resources, I don't mean your money. Resources could mean people around you. Resources could mean your network. Resources could mean business connections that you've made in the past that may become useful to you right now. Resources could be your skills. Maybe you have underutilized skills na pwede mong gamitin at this time. So instead of just looking straight ahead, broaden your horizons. Look around you. There is still something that you can do.
Galing. That's why you make the big bucks, no? And unbeknownst to many, hindi ako, sabi mo na popular to you. Sa channel ko, madaming tao naniniwala dun sa sinabi mo na, you can focus on God in this time. Comment below if you agree with what Stefanie said, no? That this is a time also that you set your eyes not just on the problem, but you set your eyes on the solution as well. So, great words. Now, ngayon, ito hindi ko sinabi sa'yo. This is part 1 of our video, guys. So, in the next video, pag-usapan natin yung journey ni Stefanie. Yung hindi nyo alam, she's a tech founder. She's also a celebrity in CNN right now. Sobrang sikat niya na celebrity. Perfect pitch. We're gonna talk about that. Then we're gonna talk about her journey.
Final pitch.
Perfect pitch. Ano pala yun? Movie pala yun ng song and dance. Okay, final pitch. We're gonna talk about saan siya nagsimula, paano siya nagsimula, tsaka paano siya naging mayaman yun. So, I hope you guys got a lot from part 1 of this video. And I guess that's it for now. Stefanie Uy from Cagayan de Oro. I hope, guys, if you have any questions, put it on the comment section below. And that's it for now. I hope this video helps you trade well, trade strong, trade smart. See you all again soon. Bye, everyone.